Hey, welcome back, everybody. We're gonna just kind of continue on this thing about Ben Carson. Now, Ben Carson. There's a lot. And we talk about this kind of stuff all the time. Like, why are we so worried about this thing or event A when candidates' actual policies are this terrible over here on this side of things, right? And so what a lot of the more or the less piranha chummy in the water on the press say things like, Ben Carson's 10% tithe plan that's what's crazy. Like, let's talk about that as opposed to this other dumb thing that really doesn't affect. I mean, I think that it matters because when you're not necessarily if he lied or not, but if you're running for president on the basis of your personal story and you've been beefing up your personal story, then people should know about that and make a judgment. However, the biggest problem that I have with this whole thing, we were talking about this a little bit before the show, is so Politico drops this pretty sloppily reported thing on the internet, and immediately there's this backlash to the story, this right-wing backlash of these conservative blogs that pop up almost instantaneously and fill people's Facebook news feeds for like 2 days solid. And the headlines are like, you won't believe what Politico said, and Politico admits to fabrication, and blah, blah, blah. And if you click on that stuff, it doesn't mean you've been duped into looking at their website, because the articles that pop up do not mean or do not say what the headlines suggest that they say. Alan West, the guy out of Florida, the former congressperson, Alan West, or I think did he run for Congress? I can't remember. Alan B. West.
Yeah.
Remember him?
Yeah.
He does this kind of stuff all the time where he says, we just found the smoking gun to Hillary in Benghazi, and then it has nothing to do with anything. We found this paper that doesn't have her signature on it. Boy, it came from an office of a person that ran her campaign in 1994. It's completely outlandish, right? Yeah. So you have this entire industry, and you see it on like the Daily Kos does this kind of stuff, Upworthy does this kind of stuff, seeking to either prop up against evidence or destroy personally these folks running for political office. You see this with Hillary, where these right-wing websites aren't content to just say that she shouldn't be president because she's not qualified, or or her policies are terrible or whatever, but that she's an evil person bent on destroying the country. You see this on the left with folks calling Ben Carson a liar, or saying that that you won't believe what Ted Cruz's tax plan. Seeking not just to debate the point, but to personally destroy the candidate at the center of it. And I'm getting so fed up with seeing this constantly. It's taking over, where it's not so much that you can't trust the media, but the media has become this morass of something that now you don't know what to sift through, because the sources are all completely bungled, and those headlines don't tell you what's going on and don't tell you the real story. That's my real problem with this whole thing.
Well, and I would agree 100% with that. You can't trust. It used to be for a while I would read Politico just to be able to go through it. But you're right. Your point about, you called it clickbait.
Yep.
Which I'm old. I don't know what that means. But anyway.
They're tricking you into looking at their website.
Yeah.
Because they can turn that into ad revenue.
And
as an aside,
we should be doing much more.
We should be doing a lot more of that. You would not believe the thing that Doc says in the next segment. Click on Doc and Lefty and find out.
Yeah, you bet. There you go. But that's true. So I stopped reading Politico because it became something you couldn't trust. And it's one of those things where, at some point, and I like that you said, listen, they're just setting out to destroy a candidate from either side, or to destroy each other. My mom was talking, I had dinner with Mom yesterday, and she cooked me Joe's favorite dinner, because I think she gets this mixed up. And she was talking about how she can't even talk with her friends anymore. Mm-hmm. It used to be before, and she even blamed Obama. Before Obama got into office, I could talk to my liberal friends, and maybe we might not disagree or might not agree, but it would be all right. But since Obama took off, it's a lot worse. Well,
that's not exactly true, obviously.
No, I don't think that's exactly true, but I think that since he's taken office, the internet and social media have blown up. And that's just the nature of social media. You have to have somebody to look in order to be able to generate ad revenue.
Well, after I went off in that tirade for a second,
your brain fog.
Well,
no.
I'm going to start walking it back a little bit because what social media and the internet have done, especially the political discourse in particular, and I suppose to all kinds of discourse, I should say, but political discourse, what we're talking about now, is they have democratized it. Everybody with an internet connection, something to say, can get attention if they do things in an attention sort of grabbing way, and it doesn't always serve the larger dialogue. Yeah, you would hope. And what was contemplated by having a free marketplace of ideas, the way that this country has sort of classically tried to have, especially with the internet now and making it so much easier and cheaper for folks to do it, you would hope that the bad ideas would sort of get shouted down, but it feels like that those bad ideas kind of like float on top like the skein of oil on an otherwise really nice looking lake.
Yeah.
And it's where you have to dip through the gross oil to get to the decent reporting and it's really frustrating. It's really frustrating.
Well, and Jason pointed out, Jason gives a history of where Westmoreland was on Memorial Day. But he was in DC. But Westmoreland was also in Detroit in February. Right. So it could be years and years later he's just mixing up.
Yeah, but he said that in his book in 1990. So he forgot 20 years later?
Well, yeah. I mean,
really?
You forget a lot in 20 years.
I don't know about that. He met the most famous general of his generation and can't remember the day he met him. I remember the time of year I met you, at least.
Well, because we were both frozen, and, you're not that, and both of our girls were going, get into the house.
And you're not that famous, buddy. I mean, you're famous to me.
No, but you can't remember the date.
Not the exact date, but I didn't. Well, I wouldn't say Memorial Day.
I'm the most important person you've ever met.
That's not true.
When was the first time you ever met Brad Zahn?
I played with Blues Traveler, man.
Okay.
I'll be trumping that. I'll use that as my trump card.
What were those dates?
That was Boomtown days in 2011.
Yeah, so what date was
in Joplin, Missouri.
Yeah,
Dude, I can't remember the exact date.
There you go, and there's the problem.
But it's Boomtown days.
Oh, yeah. All right.
And we can go back and find it out.
Yes.
And even in 1990 and 88 and 89, whenever he was writing that book, he could have figured it out.
Well, and I agree.
The story, we can. I think that we don't necessarily need to. I think he made some of it up, but I don't. But once again, I don't think that. Well, it doesn't matter to his campaign at all because his supporters do not care about this one bit. No, it doesn't, and it's not going to affect, in my opinion, the small likelihood that he's the eventual presidential nominee.
Well, and I would agree with that. I don't think it has a lot. I don't think it's going to gain a lot of traction. There is a debate going on tonight, apparently.
Yes.
So
another Republican debate.
This and that.
Yep.
But anyway, yeah. So I think we agree a lot on this. You think he made some stuff up? I think he simplified it so people could understand. As far as the date goes, I have no idea. If I can remember the dates I met famous politicians, but I'm not a world famous neurosurgeon. I'm just Lily Shrink. So,
well,
by the way, I just want to tell Joe, I've only driven recklessly several times. Not all the time like he accused me. Okay. And I for the most part, I do wear my seatbelt. We're going to be back right after this break. We're going to talk about Keystone Pipeline and Obama's decision for that and whether it's going to be good for the environment and who benefits from that. So we'll be back right after this break. Thanks everybody for tuning in.